Hello, welcome back to NWT Astro. This is Jermaine. In this video, I decided that I'm gonna build the OnStep box with all the electronics and have that as its own video because I think it is rather involved. And just so I don't damage this, I'm gonna go ahead and take this antenna off. This is the Wi-Fi antenna. So this video, I'm gonna do it kind of vlog style. And the way I see it, that means I'm just going to be kind of talking through and doing this work. And it's probably going to be kind of long. I will fast forward when it makes sense. But I do want to show the process of doing this work. So guys, these are the inserts that I have. And I want to go with something really small and use a really small screw, because obviously just holding this lid on isn't going to be a whole lot of anything. So I'm going to use this drill bit just to drill this out a little bit here. I like to use these black screws, but these are all way too long. So I think I'm going to go with these. These are all M2. And just a different length. So M2 is perfect. I drilled these holes too big to hold the inserts just by pressing them into the plastic with the heat. So I'm gonna have to glue these in, but I'm gonna go ahead and put these in that holds down the little board. So here's the little presses that go into the, these go into the soldering iron. Let's put this on like that. So let's go ahead, and I want to put this in squarely as possible, but if I turn it down, this is going to fall off, so I gotta do this sideways. So there it is. So I got those 4 zerts in, and I'll be able to use whatever appropriate M2 screw that I need to screw that board down. So I'm gonna use a stepper bit to bring the diameter of this hole up to there. Of course, we don't want to take too much too fast, so I'm just going to be drilling through like this. Let's see if this is enough. Nope. Let's go one more step. Here we go. Looking good so far. So here are the little power connectors, so I can plug this up to some power. Yeah, these holes are a little bit elongated. They're not quite right. Something with the print, so I'm gonna have to widen that as well. And guys, right now I'm just fitting this, because for this one I'm gonna have to I'm gonna take it back out and solder it, because it's gonna be too hard to solder it in place. This one I just have the fittings where I can just put the fittings on. Okay, now I'll work on these. Now we have the right ascension, the declination, and this FOC. This is for focus. Now initially I'm not gonna have a focuser on this build, but maybe I will. I've never used the OnStep focus, so if this board can control it, I'm gonna have to look into it, and maybe I get a motor and I might be able to hook up something with the focus. And so we'll have to see. But for now, I'm just going to put a plug in there just so it's not empty. So here are the GX12s. And I thought they were GX16s. So we're going to have to see. So that little indent, I'm going to try to have all these up at 12 o'clock. That little nub there. Yeah, guys, this is looking quite factory. But this E6000 glue, it is very strong, but it doesn't dry super fast. So what I'm going to try to do is use some screws to keep the path empty. Looks like this one actually, this one's gonna need to be pressed in because I didn't go as deep when I drilled it out. All right, so at this time I think I need to put the board in. Let's see, what do I need to do? So I'm gonna need to identify which wire is which, and then I'm gonna have to assign it to a pin so I can keep continuity between my pins here, my board, and then the cables that I'm gonna make, and then with these wires. So I need to figure out what is what and create my own kind of table that's connecting what to what. Alright guys, so I almost got ahead of myself. You know, as the old saying goes, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So before I want to get the board in here, I need to make a plan on the wiring setup. So it comes like this, and it has these RJ45 connectors on here, which I'm going to cut off, but I need to make sure that I understand which wire is which, and then I need to assign that through pins 1 through 4, and then I need to make my cables accordingly, and then also understand which wires is which on my stepper motors. So according to the schematic, the black and green is one winding and the red and blue is another winding, and that should be fine. But I've just read online that some people is having a lot of problems, not necessarily with these motors, but just some motors, and turns out their schematic was not correct. So in order to test this, all I have to do is check for continuity using a multimeter. So I'm not sure what's showing up here. All right, so we do have continuity on black and green. And then we're just going to make sure that red and blue is the other winding. All right, so the schematic is correct, which, you know, should be the case. The guy from Digital Arts, he actually made a video testing this, and he was controlling some stepper motors, and he posted it on YouTube and sent it to me. Just a private, you know, like an unlisted video just for my board, which I thought was really neat. All right guys, so I did a little something, got my camera angle a little bit closer. So what I figure I need to do is connect these wires to these plugs. All right guys, so let me show you this. So I went to the manufacturer's website that manufactures these boards, and I got this. So it's telling me which wires do what. Now the really neat thing about this board is really designed to run a 3D printer. And since it's designed for that, it can already run 4 stepper motors. That's why I can do my alt and as, but then I could also do a focuser motor, and then I could just do an extra. But it also is designed to run the heater for the bed of a, you know, of a 3D printer. So you could actually connect this up to a dew heater. So, I mean, this is pretty neat. But anyway, I'm not going to do a focuser now, like I said earlier. But what I did, since I identified the way these were already ran, so I'm just going to put white to 1. I'm going to solder white to pin 1, yellow to pin 2, and so on and so forth, as you can see. It's going to be like that. So I just have to make sure I keep this continuity throughout both of my cables and throughout everything that I do. Okay. So I got my soldering station over here. And guys, I'm not an expert at this soldering, and I'm not an expert at any of this stuff. I'm just a person that just does some things. All right. People might say, oh, you know, you're not supposed to do this like that. You're not supposed to do that this way, so on and so forth. I don't know, guys. I do things that seems to work. That's all I kind of know. Look, add a little bit of flux. Oh shit. Yeah, this flux is a little cold, so then it kind of made me squeeze it a little hard. Too much came out. I've got all the wires soldered on, and I let it cool. I've done that in the past, or you try to move the heat shrink up too fast, and just the hot wire ends up melting it, and then you've got a problem. So I'm gonna put all these up here. I'm gonna use just take one of these off. I'll take them both off. So there you have it, guys. All the wires are connected to the aviation plug. In my other video I called it an airplane plug, but yeah, aviation plug. And then that's ready for the board. So all I got to do is do this again. So I just researched, and there is not a 100% standard every time that this is this way, but more often than not, this is how it is. So this being a little barrel plug or barrel power connector, the little inner part would be your positive, and then the outer part would be negative. So here's a regular barrel plug. So that would mean the outside is negative and that inside is positive. And I would just plug in like that. So these little plugs didn't come with any schematics, but it is so simple that I have been able to just see it, and I've even used my multimeter, and these two are both negative, so there's continuity between those, but not continuity between these. So this center, this big one, is the positive. So I'm going to wire it up. I'm going to solder it up as such. There's the power connector. Like I said, the middle pin is positive, and these two are both grounds. I got my board here, So here, I know it's hard to see, if not impossible. It says power in right there. But then on this side, I've got a ground, and then it says 24 volt. So I know this pin that's all the way to the right is my positive. The pin is on the left is the ground. In my 3D print, I think it drooped a little bit or something. That's probably why I had to widen out these holes. But I also had to take a blade and widen this a little bit because that didn't want to fit through, which wasn't allowing my screw holes to line up. But now everything's good. That's lined up. Even the card reader, I don't think I need the card reader at all. But that's there. So just look at how much wire I'm going to need, because I don't want to have all this wire just pushed all around in the box. And so I'm going to cut a good amount of this away. So let's see. It's going to be about here. And then that's going to go there. That'll be plenty. So this antenna is going to be really hard to plug in once this is already in here. So I'm going to plug this in right now. This is a Wi-Fi antenna. You worked on laptops or something, you might be familiar with that type of connection. It's a really tiny one like that in cell phones as well. So having experience with some of this stuff does come in handy. Alright, so I got the the power going in. Guys, you work on stuff like this, having a little magnetizer is very handy. So now when I put my screw on, it does not fall. Oh shit, I just said this little magnet, it's not getting it. Let's go with this. Get some magnification on there. Got all 4 screws in. Got my power in. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 chips there. Then I got a larger chip here. So I'm assuming maybe that's what this is for. This board is perfectly capable of running a fan, but I don't want to run a fan if I don't have to. But if I do have to, the case does not have holes for it. If I have to, I can put holes in there for it. I printed, there is another version of this 3D print file that does have holes for the fan, but I wanted to avoid it, so I'm not doing fans if I can avoid it. So I'm going to do this large one off to the side, and then I'm going to do this, the middle one. Alright, so now let's go ahead and put these in. These is for the right ascension and declination. I'm not sure which is going to be which, but I can always just swap these around. some other time if need be. I might just be able to assign it. This one in this slot. And then kind of tuck this wire. A little cable management. Kind of tuck this down over here. All right. Okay. So now I just got to figure out what I'm gonna do with this switch. Just figure that out. So guys, I had this wired up wrong. I basically had the power going directly to the power, so when you plug it in, it would have powered up, which is fine. That's how my other OnStep work. But I did want to have a power button, so I want to be able to have it plugged in, flip the switch on. So the power is going to come in and go from the power barrel, the barrel plug. The power, the negative, positive side is going to come into this plug, this power switch, and then it's going to go from the power switch to the box, to the board itself. The negative is going to go directly from the barrel plug, barrel connector, directly to the board. So I am going to be for power, at least for now, I've got one of these adjustable AC/DC adapters, and I'm gonna take it to 12 volts right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug her in. And we got a light. And now we don't have a light. All right, so let's turn that back on. This is day number 2 working on this project. So I need to get this thing to focus. So I'm taking off the screws out of the little collar on this aviation plug. This would be the male side. This 4-strand wire that I have here, it has the same 4 colors that's on here. So of course I'm going to use the same conventions to wire up to these pins that I'm going to wire up on the male side of the pin. So we have white, yellow, black, and red. So I'm going to take some of this back. I'm just going to use one of these to hold this, because this can clamp on here pretty easy. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's kind of opposite from the other one, but it's not, because the way this goes on, you know, it's kind of hard to explain, but it makes sense once you're in it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to strip off very little. Like, my wire's just got to be very short. So I got everything on there, and you see how it's kind of exposed wire, and I'm just gonna put like one thin strip of electrical tape, and this may not be necessary, but I just don't like the idea of the exposed wire, because I don't want it to touch up against this housing, and now the positives touching the negative and everything like that. So I put just a single thin layer of electrical tape And then on this bottom side, there's this little groove, the slot that this little indent, it slides in that groove and then it turns to the right. And when you do that, that allows the screw to line up. So let's get that screw back in here. There's that. We're going to put this collar back on. There's one. They're not the easiest thing, but with all of this, there's just so much satisfaction in getting it done. Look at that. Oh man, look at that. Just like it's from the factory. It's a piece of quality equipment. The way these stepper motors work, you got two windings. So here you got A2 and A1. Those end up going to white and yellow. And then on my motor, one pair of winding is black and green. So these two creates one pair, one winding. And then, you know, white goes to black, yellow goes to green. And then the second winding, B1, B2, white goes to red and red goes to blue. So what I did, I just connected them because I want to test this before I solder all this up, and turns out maybe something's not the way I need it to be. So on this end, I have everything wired up. So white, yellow, black, red goes right to these corresponding pins on the board. So what we want to do, and they always say don't plug in stepper motors when it's powered on and everything. So we're not powered on, we're not even plugged in. So this is when we would want to do it. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug that in. And I'm even gonna go ahead and switch my power off. And then, so we're gonna plug some power to the board. And then we're gonna turn it on. You can see the indication light. So what I need to do is is to access this board. Access the board and then start controlling this motor. All right guys, so we're gonna access the Wi-Fi. I'm looking for OnstepX. There we are. The default password is password. Can't remember if that's capitalized. I guess we'll see. Okay, so we're there. And let's go to OnStep. Well, this is saying 01. Yeah, okay, so this is how it is sometimes, guys. Go in here and find it yourself. That is saying 01. It's a 999. Is it gonna connect? There we go. Shit. OnStep 10.24c ready. Time and lock, probably location updated. So let's just go to tracking. You know what? Let's do a screen record. Let's just say this. There we go. So far, man, everything's working exactly how it should. So I can put the top on here, and at this point it's just getting the motors, you know, hooked up and everything like that. Boom. And there you have it, guys. The OnStep box. Of course, I'm gonna put the link in the description for the 3D print. We got the power. This is, I believe, for LED indication lights, which I don't have. So we have some ventilation on this side, right ascension, declination, focus. And these are aviation plugs. More ventilation on that side. We have the USB connection, ventilation, micro SD slot, power, and we have more ventilation on top. And of course, the OnstepX E4 box. And that's done, guys. And if you want to see more of this project, of course, go ahead and like and subscribe. I've got the next one coming up, guys. We're going to get this going, and we're going to be looking at the universe here real soon. Peace.